address Neptune or Neptunus, which is an Italian agricultural sea archetype, and of course Poseidon. Poseidon is a Greek sea archetype. We see a consistent theme of brutality, and in the case of Poseidon, I would say a modus operandi of rape. Although Neptune or Neptunus was originally an agricultural deity and more closely associated with freshwater, this force is rarely mentioned outside of the company of Poseidon. So it's important that you study both of them, and of course all three of them. The name Olokun, I don't think I've gotten into that. Olo means owner, and kun or okun means ocean. And I had mentioned earlier that Olokun is a part of a triune of Olorun, which means owner of the heavens, the sky, Olokun, owner of the oceans or the seas, and Onile, owner of the earth. Okay, so that's that particular trinity that we're working with on the third dimensional plane. And of course, we know that earth has its own connotations and esoteric meanings, as well as does the heavens or sky, and as well as does the seas. Now, in the Greek pantheon, we have Poseidon, who is the brother of Zeus and Hades. I would suggest you watch Clash of the Titans. You can watch the one from the 80s or the more recent one that came out. Either one, it does cover that Poseidon energy, which again, you're dealing with Olokun. All right. Now, in the Greek mythology, Poseidon, Zeus, and Hades are the sons of Kronos and Rhea. Kronos was our original, well, not our, but an original archetype of the supreme deity, which some would call God. And we see that there was a transitioning. Okay. So now we know Zeus is the Lord of Heaven, Hades is the Lord of the underworld, and Poseidon is the Lord of the seas. Poseidon receives horses and bulls as sacrifices and is known to be directly related or associated with the horse because it was Poseidon who was chronicled to have created the horse when he struck his triune, which is the that pitchfork. You know, we always see Poseidon and oftentimes moving to the next level. We know that water is the perfect incubator and host for spirits. That's why water is used so often in rituals. So great bodies of water, subsequently we can assume or we can deduct that great bodies of water will hold great numbers of spirits. Now, dealing with just the aspect of water and the various layers of the ocean, I think it's important to understand how in the diaspora we developed this idea of Yemoja being the top layer and Olokun being the lower. Also, another thing to keep in mind, that Olokun's name, some also say, was originally Olokunmi. And we know that Lukunmi or Lukumi means my friend. So Olokuni would be the owner of my friend. But getting back to the particular layers, Yemoja is over the top layer of the ocean, as we've learned in the diaspora, or as it's said. This is called the euphotic layer. And this is the top layer of water where photosynthesis is able to occur because light is able to penetrate that particular layer, and it allows the growth of plants and again the process of photosynthesis. Whereas Olokun is considered to be the bottom 2/3, or what they call the bathopelagic, right? The bathopelagic layer of the ocean, or the pelagic layer of the ocean. And in this particular layer, the only plants that are able to grow, they're only able to grow through the process of chemosynthesis. So you have photosynthesis and you have chemosynthesis. And on this bottom 2/3 of layer, 2/3 of water, there's no light that can penetrate, and obviously we have great amounts of pressure. So the plants and the animals that grow at that layer, they are completely sculpted and crafted by the high levels of pressure and the lack of light. So in mythology and in ancient times, things that were thought to be down there were considered to be monstrous. Okay, it's important to remember. Because we're gonna address that and get into, again, the internal subconscious aspects, or the hidden self, the shadow self that Olokun represents. At those lower layers of the ocean, there is perpetual darkness, and photosynthesis does not happen. Also, keep something in mind. I want to boomerang back. Like I said, we're stuffing a lot, and of course, we always hear about these places sinking into the ocean. Well, that represents a people sinking into unconsciousness, and Olokun being the owner of those secrets, or the keeper, more specifically, of those secrets. That means that nothing is ever lost. So whatever wisdom and technology and philosophies and calculations that were developed in the lands of Atlantis and Lemuria, it's still kept and still preserved. How do you get through it? You have to go to the recesses of your subconscious mind, and sometimes you're going to have to fight through a couple of monsters to get there. Olokun holds the secrets to the past, present, and the future. So now, of course, one may ask, does this have anything to do with divination? Of course. Olokun also rules over divination. And that's why sometimes you'll divine or you'll do readings and there'll be cloudy areas. There'll be some things that are still in the darkness. You work with Olokun to clear these things up or to excavate them. It is the possible monstrous fate hidden amongst the darkness that serves as kind of a system of checks and balances for us. It allows us never to get too arrogant, when we realize that we always still have these things deep within us to deal with. There's an Orisha that Olokun is associated with that's important for you to know, and that's Oro-Ina. And Ina, we know, means fire. Oro-Ina is the fire that lives at the core of the earth. And in certain Iles, especially in Cuba, you have Olokonosa, which means Olokon's lagoon. And this is a female Orisha that is supposed to be connected with the male Olokun. So these are good ones for you to look up and to learn. Olokun is also associated with the mudfish. Now, interesting enough, you'll find the mudfish also in Grecian and Sumeria artwork as associated with sea monsters. Now, the mudfish, if you're not familiar, is a fish that burrows deep into the mud during the dry season. It's amphibious and it lives in water, but it hops over the dry land. And you have even certain mudfish that climb trees, and they build nests inside of trees. Now, these are fish now. The mudfish is symbolic of Olokun's ability to rule water and land, but also from an esoteric standpoint is also symbolic of